city streets, we began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals they take us higher.
Shania Twain is a Canadian-born singer-songwriter and the best-selling country star of all time. For a minute, Shania has sold over 100 million copies worldwide. She is called the Queen of Country Pop, and her name is known to millions of people around the world. This is undoubtedly a huge success, but looking back on it as well as on the hits, man, I Feel Like a Woman, and You're Still the One, it is hard to believe that the life of this amazing singer was full of dark and tragic moments. Like fellow country singer Reba McEntire, Twain has masterfully used the tragedy of her life to fuel her music and ambition. She has shown incredible strength through every critical moment life has thrown at her, from a cheating husband to an abusive father, through all her ups and downs. Shania Twain has used music to persevere. She grew up poor and occasionally took poor people's sandwiches to school. A poor man's sandwich is essentially two pieces of bread with nothing in between except mustard or mayonnaise. When Shania was a child, her family was struggling financially, and a poor man's sandwich was the only food she took to school. Young Twain was too proud to help herself to other children's food, despite the fact that sometimes she had trouble concentrating in class due to hunger. Shania did not want to tell anyone about this. She was afraid that her parents might be deprived of parental rights, since they could not provide for her. Shania's stepfather was a real monster. Shania was born in August 1965 to Sharon Morrison and Clarence Edwards. Her parents divorced when she was 2 years old, after which her mother moved to Timmins, Ontario, where she met Jerry Twain, her second husband. Over the years, Shania has described her stepfather in interviews in both positive and negative terms. Jerry Twain adopted the girls, Shania and her sisters Jill and Carrie, and gave them his last name when he married their mother. Shania was only 4 years old at the time. The singer later said that she loved my second dad very much, but was always confused by his personality. I loved him and respected him so much for what he did for us, being a hard worker. He set a great example, but I'm still confused. Even though Jerry taught Shania a lot, he abused her throughout her childhood. Shania would later tell how he would abuse her, mutter obscene things to her, and touch her where she didn't want to be touched while she was in bed. He also beat her mother and once almost killed her, which Shania would remember forever. Luckily, she was able to convince her mother to leave this monster. She and her family lived in a homeless shelter. Shania's family was constantly poor, but after her mother Sharon left Jerry, the problems escalated dramatically. For some time they lived in a homeless shelter. From the singer's memoirs, my mother got out of the car to use a pay phone while we sat and waited for her in the car. She returned a few minutes later with a piece of paper with the address of a homeless shelter scribbled on it. That night we slept in it. It was a crowded, stuffy place with beds that looked more like folding beds. From the age of 8, she sang in bars to help support her family. Shania started performing in bars when she was 8 years old. She usually earned between $20 and $50 a night, but as she later admitted, she hated bars. They were smoky and full of slobbering, drunk men, and the midnight to 2 a.m. gigs couldn't have been easy for an 8-year-old. They weren't legal either. Her parents died in a car accident. When Shania was 21, her music career was taking off. But unfortunately, a family tragedy changed everything. Shania's mother and stepfather were killed in a car accident, and she gave up her promising career to take care of her teenage siblings. However, she was still able to continue singing, although she was mostly forced to do so, since it was the only thing that brought in a good income. Husband cheated on her with her best friend. Shania Twain's first husband was her producer and music partner Robert Mutt Lange. They were married for 14 years and had a young son before one act put an end to their happy family life. As it turned out, Lange was cheating on her with her best friend Marie and Thibault, who also served as his translator. Both Lange and Thibault repeatedly denied that there had ever been an affair between them. But the truth came to light when Thibault filed for divorce. At the time, her husband was Frederick Thibault. Twain and Lange separated in 2008, but officially divorced only in 2010. It seems like a fantasy or a plot of a melodrama, But strangely, Shania and Frederick found some kind of solace in each other. They became a couple as soon as their former partner's affair was revealed. After the divorce, she developed dysphonia. After a traumatic divorce, Shania began to suffer from dysphonia. The condition caused her to lose her voice, but luckily it was temporary. The muscles are literally squeezing your voice and preventing the air from flowing properly. You basically have no voice, which is not good for a singer. It has nothing to do with the vocal cords. I would say that there is some kind of membrane around the vocal cords that is restricting them and not allowing them to do their job. As it turned out, Lyme disease was the culprit. Twain claims it was her personal battle with an infectious disease that destroyed her voice, leaving her able to speak but unable to sing for several years. Here I am all for Canada, the motherland of beautiful and good singers. They are especially successful in the USA. And Shania Twain, in our language, is somehow strangely popular. She has things with hundreds of millions of views on YouTube, but for some reason I like those that are only a few million. They are more melodic and heartfelt, or something. Shania Twain was born in Canada on August 28, 1965. She fell in love with music relatively early and began writing songs at the age of 10. Her second album, The Woman in Me, 1995, was a huge success, making her a household name. Her next album, Come On Over, 1997, sold 40 million records, making it the best-selling album by a female artist, as well as the best-selling country album. Following her separation from her husband in 2008, the five-time Grammy winner stepped out of the spotlight, but later returned to perform a series of shows in Las Vegas from 2012 to 2014. Already from the first grades in school, the girl realized that music was her salvation, and at the age of 8 she learned to play the guitar, and then began to compose her own songs at the age of 10. Sharon accepted her daughter's talent, making sacrifices that the family could afford, so that Twain went to lessons and performed at concerts. With the support of her mother, she grew up singing in clubs and at public events, from time to time making forays into television and radio. To support her 3 younger siblings, in addition to her younger sister, Sharona and Jerry had a son together and also adopted Jerry's nephew. Twain returned to Timmins and took a job singing in a Las Vegas-style show at the nearby Deerhouse Resort in Huntsville, Ontario. However, Twain did not give up on creating her own music, and she continued to write songs in her spare time. Her demo found its way to Nashville, and she was subsequently signed to Polygram Records. Early career in Nashville. Her new label liked Twain's music, but they didn't care for the name Eileen Twain. Since Twain wanted to keep her last name in honor of her adoptive father, she decided to change her name to Shania, which means I'm on my way. Her first album, Shania Twain, was released in 1993. The album wasn't a huge success, though Twain's video for What Made You Say That, in which she wore a crop top, got a lot of attention, but it did reach one important fan, Robert John Mutt Lange, who had produced albums for bands like AC/DC, The Cars, and Def Leppard. After contacting Twain, Lange set to work on her next album, Superstardom. Twain and Lange co-wrote 10 of the 12 tracks on Twain's next album, The Woman in Me, 1995. The singer was excited about the album, but given Lange's rock background and the record's pop and country leanings, she was worried about how people would react to it. She needn't have worried. The first single, Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under, reached number 11 on the country charts. The next single, The rock-infused Any Man of Mine, soared to number 1 on the country charts and also reached the top 40. The following year, Twain received 4 Grammy nominations and won the award for Best Country Album. A critical and commercial success, The Woman in Me eventually achieved sales of over 12 million in the United States. Twain's follow-up album, Come On Over, 1997, another co-production with Lange, further embraced country and pop styles. The album also featured more chart-topping songs, including tracks like Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and That Don't Impress Me Much, as well as romantic ballads like You're Still the One and From This Moment On. In 1999, You're Still the One won 2 Grammys, one for Best Country Song and one for Best Female Country Vocal Performance. The song also reached number 1 on the Billboard country charts. The following year, Twain took home 2 more Grammys when Come On Over was named the best song of the country, and Man, I Feel Like a Woman won Best Female Country Vocal Performance. Come On Over reigned at #1 on the country charts for a total of 50 weeks. The album also became and remains the best-selling country album of all time, with sales reaching 40 million worldwide, and is also the best-selling album by a solo artist. With the success of Come On Over, followed by a popular tour, Twain became an international star. In 2002, Twain's Up was released. There were 3 versions of the album: a pop red version, a country green disc, and a blue version, which was influenced by Bollywood. The red and green color combination reached #1 on the Billboard country chart and the top 200. The rest of the world received the red and blue combination, which was also successful. However, sales were down from previous hits. Approximately 5.5 million copies were sold in the United States. By 2004, Shania Twain had recorded enough material for her first greatest hits album. Released in the fall of that year, the album topped the charts and eventually went quadruple platinum. Personal life. Her personal life seemed to take off along with her career. After months of working with Lang on the phone, the couple finally met in person in June 1993. They were married 6 months later. Hoping to find some privacy, Twain and Lang moved into a luxurious Swiss estate. While living in Switzerland, Twain gave birth to a son, D'Angelo Lang, in 2001. Twain also became close friends with Marie-Anne Thibault, who worked as a housekeeper. In 2008, Twain and Lang separated. Twain was devastated to learn that her husband had been having an affair with Thibault. Twain and Lang divorced 2 years later. The division of property and the divorce itself was extremely difficult for Twain. Not only was her marriage over, but she had lost the man who had helped guide her career. Around this time, Twain began to experience dysphonia, a contraction of the vocal muscles that made it difficult for her to sing. There was one person, however, who could understand what Twain was going through: Frederick Thibault, Marie-Anne's ex-husband. Twain and Frederick grew closer, and they married on New Year's Eve in 2011. Recent work. Fortunately for Twain's career and her fans, the singer was able to overcome her dysphonia. Some of her healing process was featured in the series Why Not? With Shania Twain, which aired on the Oprah Winfrey Network in 2011. Twain also wrote a memoir, From This Moment On, which was published in May of that year. In 2012, the singer made a full-time comeback when she began a series of elaborate shows at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. The show was called Shania. Still the One, and was a huge success for 2 years. A live album of the show was released in March 2015. Also in March 2015, Twain announced that she would be embarking on a final tour, visiting 48 cities over the summer. The final show took place shortly before she turned 50. In addition, the singer has plans for a new album, Gender Female, age 59 years old, in 2024. Date of birth August 28, 1965. Real name Eileen Regina Edwards. Profession singer, songwriter, and actress. Nationality Canadian. Birthplace Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Religion not known. Zodiac sign Virgo. Debut I Heart Huckabees. Net worth $400 million US. Family and relatives. Father Clarence Edwards, Jerry Twain, stepfather. Mother Sharon Morrison Twain. Brother Mark Twain, Daryl Twain. Sister Jill Edwards, Carrie Ann Edwards. Marital status married. Robert John Mutt Lang, Swiss Nestle. Children 1. Son, hija. Daughter, none. That's all in today's video. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.